Hi there, everyone. I'm Lily, and this is the Voice of Web3, brought to you by CoinGape Media. I'm super excited. Today, I have an amazing guest just for you guys. This is Ron Bodkin, and he is from the CEO and founder of TheoriqAI. I hope I said that right, Ron? Theoriq?
Yes. We say Theoriq, but
Theoriq. I might be the
same
British,
concept, yeah.
British American, different pronunciations, but we're going to find out exactly what it is and all about AI agents, which I think is just such a buzzword almost at the moment. So many people are discussing it, but I don't really think people understand what AI agents really are. So we're really excited to have you here, Ron. So please just introduce yourself. Let's get to know you and where this whole concept come from.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been an entrepreneur and working in the AI space a long time. I was way back in grad school. I dropped out of PhD program at MIT to start a company, a B2B internet company. Went on to really get focused on AI at Quantcast. It was an ad tech firm, built lookalike models to predict the kind of things people would buy. Scaled that to multi-$100 million business, leading engineering and research. Then I went on to start Think Big Analytics. That was enterprise AI, sold it to Teradata, a large database company. Behind all good AI is powerful data, of course. Then I was in the CTO office at Google Cloud, responsible for applied AI, the Vector Institute, which is Canada's leading AI research institute, working with about 500 researchers, AI researchers, and about 100 industry sponsors. And all that experience led me to believe that AI was going to be utterly transformative technology, and incredibly important that we have the right kind of governance, open ethos, the right kind of approach, and not a few billionaires control it for all of us. That led me and the other founders who'd worked with me, whether it was at Teradata or at Vector Institute, to say, let's get together and really start Theoriq, right? A company that's focused on how do you enable people to leverage AI to empower them and in a way that's responsible and we all benefit, and not have it be something that's controlled by a few monopolists. We've been building at that intersection of AI and Web3 since we started the company 3 years ago. And of course, back then, a lot of people didn't understand the connection in Web3. They're like, we don't understand what this AI thing is and why it's important. And last 2 years, we've been focused on AI agents in Web3. I'm happy to share more about what that is, but that's been our journey, is just recognizing AI was going to be transformative, that Web3 as a technology that can enable freedom and community participation is incredibly important, is part of that journey.
Amazing. And how long would you say that you've been in AI? Because I think so many people see it as such a new technology and something that hasn't been around long. But for yourself, how long have you been in AI?
Yeah, I mean, I've been working in this space for more than 15 years, right? So machine learning technology, which is really what's behind all the AI progress. Machine learning led to deep learning, which we now increasingly are leveraging with powerful models that do many things well to build agents, right? And the big difference, right? Agents are increasingly autonomous software that uses AI to do things for you, right? So the most important use case, what's really emerged and where we're focusing in crypto, is around trading, around letting you analyze the market, grab signals, take action, help you participate, right? So democratize access. You don't have to be a hedge fund with a large team of quants in order to be sophisticated and jump in and participate in the market, but anyone can leverage AI tools for that, right? So that's a great example. Like an AI agent to do that uses the smarts of an LLM, like a chat bot, but it's always there watching the market, looking, notifying you, increasingly autonomously, taking action, controlling keys to wallets, right? That to us is a great example of what an agent is and can be, right? And so it's a big shift, right? That we're going to have more and more like superpowers as AI tools act on our behalf.
So let's take a little step back. An AI agent, in your words, what exactly is an AI agent? And as you've discussed some of the applications of it, but what are the big impacts that we're going to see that AI agents will have?
Yeah, so AI agents are increasingly autonomous software. So it can both sense the environment, think about it, have context, and then use tools to take actions, right? So uh, that's that style of development is really important. We're very much believers, though, that there's so much progress going to happen that there's not like a universal agent that does everything. Instead, we all have a lot to offer. What's our expertise, our knowledge? How do we create an agent that represents what we know? And then these agents are going to work together in the economy just like people do. They're going to form organizations, swarms, collectives that work together to accomplish goals, right? So ones with unique signals for trading, ones with unique trading strategies, unique analysis strategies, unique ways of executing trades, right? So I focus on DeFi, as it's being called, decentralized finance with AI, because we think that's going to utterly transform and massively increase the value of crypto and trading, right? That letting anyone simplify the utility, make it easy to move assets, to trade with one another, to discover good prices. These are all things that we think AI agents are going to enable. We think that, that simplicity, that cleanliness of how agents are going to work is going to then expand out so that, if initially it's around creating AI agent tokens and meme coins and, as well as blue chip tokens like ETH and Solana, very soon what we're going to see is that this is the killer app for real world assets, right? Tokenizing everything and trading it all on chain in a decentralized way. Agents are going to enable that. Why do you want to have a stock market that's open 8 hours a day and limited functionality when agents can do all of it for you way more efficiently? And you don't have to have, the traditional hedge funds sitting in your order flow extracting MEV, right? So we think that there's a ton of value for the broader trading economy. And of course, agents are going to revolutionize everything. But we think Web3 is way ahead, right? So in the Web2 world, they say, hey, when will the first billion-dollar agent company exist? It's like, you're not paying attention. There's already several AI agents in Web3 that are worth over $1 billion and many more to come. So we're moving faster in Web3. We're innovating faster. The core of agents taking action, creating value, owning assets. If the first use case for that is trading, over time, that's going to expand out to a larger set of use cases, right? But blockchain rails, decentralization, community governance, making sure you have standards and incentives for agents to behave well. These are all things that we can do effectively and lead in Web3.
Is when you're talking about Web3, we're obviously still talking about decentralization and people having more control of their own assets. But when you add this layer of AI agents, how does that kind of work with this balance of people having control over what they're doing and then you're giving the control to AI?
Yeah, well, I think the important thing is to have it so that people can create their own AI agents, that they're resilient to censorship. They're not locked into like, oh, I've built something and OpenAI controls it and they can censor me if they don't like what I'm doing and shut it down. And, I'm captive to their app store or whatever they're calling it because it keeps failing and they keep restarting it, right? Because they don't care about third-party developers. They want to build universal replacement workers like Operator that will do everything for us. And we don't think that's where things should go, right? So what does a decentralized world of agents mean is like, we have community governance. There's standards, there's incentives so agents behave well, right? Like, we don't want to have a place where, the way you succeed as an agent is to be a fraudster and deceive people and trick them into sending money. Well, how do you determine an agent is a good actor? How does it have reputation? How do you know it's a quality agent, right? These are hard problems. How do you create incentives so agents actually build win-win collaborations when they work together? It's a good outcome and not like they're extractive and harmful to the other parties, right? These are not new problems, but we think, creating the right governance, the right infrastructure is incredibly important. And with that, though, you can unleash all this creativity. Not just developers, but more and more builders, more and more creators can teach agents what they know and bring that to an agent economy. right? So us, a decentralized agent future is going to be one where so many people can contribute, and there's a healthy marketplace, and many people are participating. And ultimately that means decentralizing the different layers of the stack and having choice of the models, choice of the data, choice of the agents, an open protocol where they swarm and collaborate and they establish reputation, right? This is what we've been building in the Theoriq protocol, right? So that we believe that this is incredibly important for the future, right? So one of the things is, Web3 absolutely decentralizes and empowers people with economic opportunity, but it also does so at the software layer, right? It's open source, it's open, it's community governed. Because you have the ability to have protocols, you have a self-sustaining, honest business model around open source, right? Whereas like Web 2 open source is a rug, right? Like Web 2 open source projects start off like, hey, this is great, come build, it's all free. And then it's like, oh, this is not sustainable. We're going to stop building open source and we're going to force you to use our commercial stuff for the good software. Now you're trapped, right? Which is terrible, right? So we think Web3 also is about self-sustaining protocols that have open source foundations. And nowhere could that be important than in a place like this, where you say agents are going to be the dominant form of commerce and the dominant form of transactions in the future. We need to have an open protocol based in open source with minimally extractive rules, and not one where you have a dark forest of MEV agents that are extracting maximum value from people, right? So how do we get to that first one? That's incredibly important.
Yeah, that's definitely it's a challenge, but also I think integrating everything you're saying and the Web3 ability actually allows that to be possible, which isn't possible, as you say, within the Web2 realm, which is really key for people, I think, to understand as well, because when they contemplate AI, people are so worried about things taking over that it's not under human control, whereas actually there is this ability for that it completely to be controlled still by the developer's input.
I think it's important that you have control, but also you have real incentives, right? So that the incentives in the system produce good outcomes. Like one of the things that I observe is the incentives the Web 2 companies are presented is an absolute race to win first, to try to dominate the market, to maximize profit. And so those are very bad outcomes, very bad incentives. So I think the key thing is like to build a community where you have the right incentives, right? Obviously you want to reward people for creating good agents that add value, but you also need to have, incentives for agents to cooperate and to work well together. And frankly, I don't think the Web 2 ecosystem is doing a good job on creating those right incentives so we have good outcomes from AI.
Yeah, I think it's definitely exciting what the ability of Web3 to access all of these different factors. And for you guys, why did you choose to go down the investment and finance route? Why was that something that you thought this actually is a really good use case for our AI agents?
Yeah, I'd say is really, we've been building this technology around agent swarms and coordination. We had a really successful test net that we kicked off last fall. We got to about 500,000 users, a couple million requests a day. So we got a lot of feedback, and we just saw between that and what was happening in the broader market as AI agents were taking off is that, no surprise, the killer app, the number one use case in Web3 is trading crypto, it's investing, right? So that's where the action was. That was where the excitement was. That's the first use case, right? I mean, you could kind of argue that there was some of the very first things were, social agents with personality that are just saying spicy takes, right? Like Goat and Luna, and like these are interesting agents. But very quickly, people are now like, okay, but where's the meta? How do I benefit from it? And the number one use case we're seeing emerges around agents owning and trading crypto and providing economic freedom and simplifying usability, right? So, we just really listen to the market and feedback of our users. And that's why we're focusing on that as the first use case.
And why are AI agents particularly so good with volatile markets like crypto? Are they particularly good at kind of predicting trends and understanding where the markets are and where they're going to?
I mean, I think, it's just a range of capabilities, the ability to analyze lots of signals, to be able to work with complex patterns, right? Like it's such a dynamic, fast moving space. It's less about, your traditional, like, here's this one algorithm that, I'm going to refine over weeks and then, have a few weeks of sustained alpha. Instead, it's like the narrative's changing constantly. Social information is incredibly important. So is, the financial performance. And, what we see is like everybody has their own approach for how they want to trade, but enabling that with superpowers is important. And, if you're not using AI to accelerate your process of assessing and vetting and deciding, you're missing out, right? If you're going and you're poking around and doing your own research manually, by the time you come to a conclusion, the window of opportunity is closed, and the exciting trade is now overpriced, right?
We've all been there. As human beings, I think that's when the emotional state takes over and you just feel the fear of missing out kicks in, and you kind of make it based on you don't want something that's happened before to happen again. Whereas these AI agents will have the ability to kind of tweak on that emotion, but also stick to what's happening in the markets and what they actually believe is the correct outcome.
That's right. Right. So I think, when people are starting off, there's a lot of excitement, AI agents are making good calls, but making it so it's really easy to act on those calls. We think most people are going to still start with, hey, let me just confirm. I love it. I want to use the AI, but I'm not ready to just turn over my bag and just manage it for me. But over time, I think people are going to be like, I don't want to have to be missing out, when there's a 3 a.m. opportunity, the market's 24/7, agents are faster than me. I'd rather have them optimize, execute on my behalf. And, maybe if I don't like a trade, I'll undo it quickly when I have a look and see. But I think we're very quickly moving to autonomous trading by agents, but still with guardrails and feedback and oversight by people to say, hey, let me adjust the strategy going forward. I didn't like that trade. Like I got out of it for this reason.
So for traders out there, does it mean that they still have control over the trades, or is it something that the AI agent can just completely take responsibility for and do all the trading for you? Or do you still need to be like, yes, I want to make that call. No, I don't quite agree with that.
It's up to you, right? I think the real thing is like, traders can give the AI agent as much autonomy as they want. They can set guardrails on like what are the limits on what it can and can't do, right? There's definitely innovative systems out there like Bioeconomy, Dan, but also I know Lip Protocol's working on a wallet where you've got the ability to define in a smart contract sort of hard limits on what the agent can do in the wallet. So, it's like, yeah, you're allowed to execute trades, but there's a limit here, right? So you have some discretion, but it's not full control, right? And I think you're going to see that, like people are going to want to have this balance of humans are not able to act as quickly as AI, but you still want to have the right strategic oversight, right? Especially right now where AI is brilliant at sort of near term doing things in the moment, executing super well. But the coherence of being able to maintain a great strategy over weeks and months is still not the forte of any of the AI systems we have today. So that balance of what using our human insight and intelligence around strategy with brilliant execution from an AI trading agent, that's really where we think it's going to be in the next year.
Yeah, that there might be moments where a trader specifically enjoys investing in healthcare or technology projects, and maybe that could be something which is integrated. Just so they still kind of feel that excitement along the journey as well, and it doesn't feel like you're completely giving control away. So you still get that little kick when you're investing in something you believe in too.
Sure. And, like that human spark, a lot of times you can also go and say, hey, like this looks really interesting. I just saw this. What do you think? And the agent will analyze it for you and be like, well, here's my feedback, right? So, you might in your discovery algorithm find things that are outside the screening of the agent, right? So, there's still like obviously a way for you plus your agent to to outperform the agent on its own, right? I mean, sort of, you would expect that almost by definition, anything that an agent can do completely autonomously with no spark of creativity or nothing unique from a human will be quickly arbitraged away in the market. On the other hand, I think we're going to see a lot of this, like, so once you figure out some tricks and make the AI better, why don't you teach your AI that and now make it available to swarm with others, and others can benefit from that, and you can not just trade your bag, but go out to like all these others who would be interested in leveraging your insights, right? So think about that as the next evolution of a KOL. So instead of just tweeting about it, you actually package it up as an agent, and anyone can trade on it, and you benefit directly from people leveraging your trading insights.
Amazing. Wow. It is absolutely incredible. And when you say about like it being able to draw from like different sources, when we're talking about them being able to go to different sources out there, would it even include like looking on X and Instagram and different social medias on top of the layers of just looking at markets? It pulls in all of this different information.
Absolutely. Right. I mean, I think there's so much data and so much information that, whether it's using APIs or scraping, whether it's social media or crypto publications, whether it be, obviously all kinds of different data feeds of indexed blockchain data and centralized exchange data and so on, right? There's just a long list of places where there's signal. And of course, the trading game is always about finding that early indication that something is trending and getting in before, it's sort of obvious, right? So, it's like, how do you jump into something like the Trump coin when it's, still 1/1000th of where it's going to land, and not like, it wasn't hard to get the signal on that, but being able to jump in the timing and the minutes when it was first emerging, where all the money could be made, or the massive amounts of money could be made, that's the challenge, right?
Yeah, let's not talk about Trump coin. That still hurts. I need an AI agent ASAP for my poor decision making on that one. But yeah, it's so interesting to actually imagine that it just can access so much more than a human possibly can. It's impossible for humans really to be able to have, as you say, signals from all of these different available sources. You would spend too much time. That's just not possible. So I think it's exciting. But what stops from these AI, if you have loads of AI agents on these markets all trading, how would that impact markets? Because obviously if they're all using the knowledge that they've learned, machine learning, does that kind of start outweighing each other, where they be like kind of compete and one wins and one loses? Or how does that work? How do you ensure that there's not this kind of overly competitive nature where they're battling against each other?
I mean, in some sense they will, right? I mean, it's a bit like traditional equities are traded by high frequency trading algorithms, far like 1,000 times greater velocity than in the days when it was people yelling out trades. And, the difference is that, for equities, you have specialized hedge funds and quants. So you had very limited number of people who could do it, and only the largest organizations could participate. But with AI agents, it's democratizing, where, for a wide range of assets, not just the largest markets, anyone can participate. But, I think you're going to see agents trading with agents will take over. Like, they will just outcompete, and everyone who wants to trade will need to have their own agent or swarm of agents actually that serve them, right? So, this is the nature of markets. Of course, you get a lot of efficiency by having that. I mean, at the same time, the pace of trading and updates will accelerate. On the other hand, I think reality is that already AI trading dominates all markets, including crypto. Agents is really more democratizing and giving access to a lot more people, and expanding it out so that you get efficiency in decentralized markets. Because like right now, most of the liquidity is in centralized exchanges because it's suitable for bots, right? For automated algorithms, right? And it's much better that we get agents and it really decentralizes, and we have broader participation in that ecosystem and more fair.
And for people that are traders by profession and that is what they do, what should they be looking as they look into the future? Would it be that they need to kind of understand AI agents and how they can work with them in order to become better traders, or do they need to really completely pivot? What's kind of what they should be looking at doing?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think, anybody should be thinking about how to be on the forefront of AI, use AI agents for their job. Traders absolutely should, right? And how to create more value, how to be ahead of the game and leverage AI to be the best, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think actually when people think about it, it's exciting because it might mean you just get to spend less time at your desk and actually just use the positive inputs of what you've learned as a trader, but have something there that's able to do the trading for you. And if you're ahead of the curve, you're kind of really winning out of anyone that potentially gets left behind in all of this.
Yeah, I mean, the way to think about it is very much you going from doing the job to managing a team that's doing the job, right? So you have to become a really good manager of AI agents. You need to organize and use swarms of agents to achieve your goals, right? That's going to be the most critical skill in the coming months and years.
And so we've been talking about trading, which obviously sometimes is more short term, but what about in the terms of like long-term hold? How are they able to understand what assets are going to perform well long-term rather than just short-term?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can similarly, agents can enable that, like how do you do deep analysis, scenario planning, right? Like these are the things that are going to be important in building a thesis for a long-term investment, right? So, I think a lot of the data, a lot of the signals come in, but it starts to be more about deep analysis to build a thesis around something that, in order to have, I mean, one way of doing long-term investing is defensive. You're just trying to get market returns, in which case, it becomes very much still about watching signals to say, like, has something changed and there's a risk here I need to mitigate. But if your goal is to get outsized returns, then you have to develop some kind of a contrarian thesis and identify something and pulling lots of data, but then it's a cycle of deep analysis to build confidence in a hypothesis. I think that's where agents will really shine, in more long-term investing. And the other thing is, like, a lot of investors will have a barbell strategy of, have a meaningful, like the majority of their portfolio in something blue chip, right? So maybe that's some Bitcoin and Ethereum in crypto, as well as some boring old school assets. I definitely don't think people should have 100% of their assets in crypto. But on the other hand, put some amount of it in, really emerging high risk volatile assets where you have a chance to make a lot of money, right? And I think that strategy often works better than sort of, you definitely don't recommend anyone to put all their resources only in the speculative bets. Yes, if it works, you get amazing returns, but you can blow up and lose everything, right? So having that balance is really important.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, especially with crypto, is it is so volatile. That's why these AI agents are particularly good with these markets, because they really can see the trends more than humans possibly can with such high volatility.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so when it comes to mitigating the risk of volatility with bull markets and bear markets, is that also something that AI agents can predict, like timeframes on? And especially, again, crypto, we're seeing them sort of trends. Is that something that they could kind of pick out dates and times and know what's coming?
I mean, it's a hard problem. I don't know that anyone's proven they can do that. I mean, I think,
It's exciting if there is a prediction out there.
Yeah, and I think it's also a very hard, like, to have a stable ability to do that, because as soon as you develop an ability to predict, then it's going to change the market. People will respond, right? I mean, in a sense,
That's true.
it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like if you can call the bottom of the market, immediately the market moves up, and if you call the top, the market should immediately move down, right? So that's a very ambitious goal, and because of the cycles, when you think about it as these, even in crypto, the cycles are years, right? So much changes every cycle, right? So I think it's a very hard problem to solve.
That's actually very true. That long-term aspect of it, no one knows what's happening in elections or just in everywhere in the world. Anything could happen at any given moment, and that's what we're seeing. And that can change the cycles and what's going to happen. But if you do hear of any predictions out there, let us know.
But I do think it's like, a lot of times you get signals of events that can turn the market, but it's often really hard to predict, is this the black swan, right? Like, before FTX, you had Three Arrows Capital in Celsius, and before that you had some smaller funds that were getting wrecked in Asia. So, but it wasn't always obvious, right? Like even hearing that news, it wasn't obvious that where the dominoes would go, and it was hard to predict from some of the pressures that suddenly you were going to see Terra Luna collapse, right? Like that was an unstable equilibrium. It's possible they could have saved it, and things would have rolled out differently, right? So I don't think you can predict. You can with confidence. I don't think even the smartest AI can predict something as complicated as a chaotic system. It's there's probably probabilities of different scenarios, right?
Yeah. And so for people that are thinking out there, wow, I would love to have an AI agent, what are kind of like the steps that they need to do, and what do they need to understand when they're going to start this journey of having their own AI agent?
Yeah, I mean, so I think it's good to learn and experiment with the AI tools out there. I'd say right now we still are seeing like rapid evolution, right? We've built this swarming protocol, and stay tuned, more to say about how that can help, in this problem domain. I think there's a lot of people working on pieces of it. So, the market's just emerging. There's it's good timing to try out the different tools and see. I think, already there's some interesting agents that are out, giving insight into the market, at least making calls and identifying things that are valuable, right? We in our testnet had agents to do analysis of investments and prediction markets, and there's other agents like that out there. So those are good things to test out and start to get familiar, because I think, this year, in the coming weeks, you're going to see really good offerings, and stay tuned. We're looking forward to sharing more soon.
Okay, that is very, very exciting. Yeah, I think a lot of people listening to this will be thinking, okay, how do I get involved? I want to have my own AI agents, not just for finance, for multiple different things. And I think it will at least trigger them to realize that they're not fighting against AI. They need to actually be with it, which I think will probably be a challenge for you, is actually trying to get people on board with some of this, because as human beings, we like to resist anything which might, in their mind, take over what they're already doing.
I think a lot of people, though, are excited, and it's certainly true that you're going to see the people who jump in first and they benefit, and I think others will start to learn and copy. So it will roll out. I think what we're seeing is AI tools already, like the chat bots, are rolling out very quickly. Lots of people are using them. Even in work, where often companies are hopelessly behind, but individual workers, employees are getting ahead by using AI tools, not telling their boss. And I think the same thing, like traders that leverage AI are just going to outcompete traders that don't. So staying on top of what's available, what signals are out there, and what trading capabilities from AI agents are possible is, the best alpha you can have as a trader.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing is seeing how exciting this is and how it is going to revolutionize the space. So it's just, you need to learn how to adopt it and adapt to it and really utilize it in the best way possible.
Absolutely.
And in terms of the future of AI agents, I mean, the future is huge, but what can you see happening, evolving in this space in, I mean, I want to say 5 years, but I think it's going to be way more rapid than that we're going to see this evolution.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing just such rapid progress in all fronts, right? The underlying models, the ability to analyze massive amounts of data, the ability to take more and more action, have coherent plans, right? So I think swarms where more and more agents work together coherently, all of these things are compounding. So, this year is going to be absolutely the year of the agent, and you're going to see so much progress, right? That I think you may well see a majority of trading being done by AI agents rather than people in crypto this year. And it will take longer to percolate out into the rest of the economy, probably through real world assets, but that's going to be a huge step change. And more broadly in the economy, agents are going to really start to be very capable. And I think you're going to see, just like Web3 is early adopting community and people race in and speed runs it, you're going to see other niches where people are leveraging agents and doing a lot. And, it's going to take longer for traditional companies to figure it out and to sort of start to realize what's possible. So there'll be some exceptions, but, the future will arrive very quickly and will be distributed highly unevenly in the coming months. But what agents are going to be able to do in just this year is going to be amazing. The amount of automation that can be achieved, the amount of leverage and innovation that's possible, it's quite exciting.
I mean, yeah, I feel like in my head, I'm thinking of all the new things that could come out of this as well. Like at the moment, you have obviously all of the influencers doing trading predictions, but imagine just having your AI influencer that's also using AI agents to predict it. You're going to get actual correct information, or at least the best information that you can get, rather than without the need of having all these influencers and just all the different things that it can disrupt, which in my mind is a positive thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. There's just so many applications, whether it's in marketing and research and product development and engineering and building great software. There's just so much that agents are going to enable.
Yeah, and how do you think we can speed up this process? What needs to be done to hopefully accelerate the growth quicker?
I mean, I think it's moving incredibly quickly right now. I think it's just about, having a real focus on community and decentralization and emphasizing high quality projects, but I think things have moved in this very positive direction that, we're seeing this rapid evolution and, this forge of high quality projects getting adoption, right? So I think this has been a welcome shift away from pure narrative, talking about things that are a distant future, into like shipping and delivering high quality value, right? So I think we're going to judge projects by the quality of the swarms that they're bringing together and how they're really enabling people to achieve their goals.
Yeah, and I think that's the wonderful thing about the crypto Web3 community, is that they are so open to take on change so rapidly that there are a lot less limitations than there would be seen in as an industry which is ready to take on anything, really.
Absolutely.
So you're the expert with all the news going crazy about DeepSeek and OpenAI having an issue. What is your opinion on this, and how do you think this could impact the AI industry? Will it have an impact how people view the industry?
I think the release of DeepSeek's models, both their V3 and then their R1 reasoning model, are in some sense a continuation of trends we've seen for a while, but new in one important way, which is we've seen rapid improvement in the efficiency of AI models and diffusion of techniques from leading developers like OpenAI to other labs. And so the release of R1 as a reasoning model just a few months after OpenAI released O1 preview, and it was a similarly capable model, was not shocking, but impressive. I would say the big shock for a lot of people was that you had a Chinese lab that actually was a fast follower and released the best open weights model, and that DeepSeek released it in open, publishing the research with details, including details of how it does the reasoning. So I think overall that's going to accelerate progress in AI in a number of ways. It's going to make it easier for people to access reasoning models and recreate them. There's already been a couple of efforts. Students at UC Berkeley have already released a simple replication at small scale, and there's a larger Hugging Face effort to replicate in open source what the open weight release that DeepSeek produced. So I think it's actually going to accelerate progress in AI. I find it really interesting that some investors thought this was bearish for AI equipment suppliers. I don't agree at all that we're reaching diminishing returns and that therefore you're just going to see commoditization and that there won't be a need for more computing power for training and serving AI models. We're already seeing DeepSeek is struggling to keep up with serving demands. They're slowing down. And, in terms of the efficiency of DeepSeek, it's also true that DeepSeek is more expensive as an API than Google's underreported Flash reasoning model, which they've also replicated what OpenAI is doing with O1, but with much less fanfare and attention. So I think it's going to accelerate progress in AI. It certainly created an opportunity for a lot of people to debate different things like changing export restrictions, changing the relations between the US and China. One thing that's clear is that the attitude that all the great AI is being created in the US and ideas that open weight models from Meta or other American companies are the only way that the rest of the world will get access to state-of-the-art AI are completely refuted.
And then when big issues like this erupt, of course, it can have an impact on the crypto industry as well. So do you think there being these issues will have this impact on crypto?
Now, in terms of how this specifically affects the crypto industry, I think access to high quality open models will only accelerate access to useful agents. It's going to accelerate progress across the board. OpenAI is accelerating the roadmaps. Price competition is already underway, so we're seeing better and better reasoning models coming out with lower cost, and decentralizing them, being able to serve them through DeepIn is already a really good option, right? So when I wanted to test out how DeepSeek works without the censorship layer that's required of all Chinese hosting providers, I went to a DeepIn provider, Hyperbolic, and I tested out the model in their environment, and I got a chain of thought that talked about how it handled sensitive matters, like how it would answer a question about Tiananmen Square. It's still internally thought through its internalized socialist values and refused to answer the question in a more subtle way than the blatant refusal on DeepSeek's site. But anyway, I think that ability to host and operate these models in a decentralized way will accelerate performance. It's certainly going to make it easier for a variety of people to access models to do whatever they want, including bad things. So, it's going to accelerate all kinds of different use cases, but I think it will accelerate capabilities for Web3 AI.
And it's always difficult when there is negative press out there. Do you think that could actually alter some of the adoption of AI? You're talking about AI agents. Do you think having these issues between DeepSeek and OpenAI could be the trigger to slow down this process? We're talking about a quick adoption, but could this make the whole world a little bit nervous?
I think it's strange to perceive this as, in some sense, negative press. The ability to build better agents more quickly with capable models is enabling, and I think it's just accelerating the ongoing rapid improvements in AI models in terms of reasoning and capability. So I think it's extremely bullish, very much so for people who are building agents and building infrastructure for agents. It presents more of a competitive threat to some of the big labs like OpenAI and Anthropic and Google. They have more competition for more corners, but I think they already expected a lot of competition and are moving quickly to improve their offerings. So I don't think negative press really makes sense here. I also think it's really naive of people who think that somehow we're at a stage that AI is diminishing its progress. This is only a sign of increasing progress, and those increased capabilities are going to drive faster adoption and capability for AI and AI agents.
Exactly. You've chosen a great space to be in. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to hear about more about this journey as well. I think it's a real necessity in the space. And I think, yeah, especially for people like me that end up just doing random trades and it doesn't go very well. I think getting on board with something like this is just incredible.
Yeah, well, thank you, Lily. It's been wonderful talking to you today.
It's been lovely talking to you as well. I think, yeah, we've definitely learned a lot about AI agents. And I think well, there's going to be so many people that's going to be really intrigued about how their portfolios can be better managed by having an AI agent. So, yeah, really excited for what's to come for Theoriq. Am I saying that correctly? Am I still saying it in a British accent?
Sounds great.
We'll go with that. We'll adjust the name along the way. Okay, perfect. Well, that is the end of this amazing podcast. It really has been a pleasure. So everyone at home, please do watch more episodes, like, subscribe. I hope you've had a wonderful time because I've really enjoyed this interview. And thank you so much, Ron.
And thank you. Definitely give us a follow at TheoriqAI on X and me at Ron Bodkin, and join the Discord and stay tuned. More to come.